A beautiful day in Northern Mindanao, especially to our grade 8 learners. I am Teacher Rem from the Division of Hingoog City. Let's make learning English as easy as ABC. Make sure that you are in a comfortable area with your module, notebook, and pen. Today, we will use Quarter 3, Module 2, Lesson 6. Today, you will be able to define bias, enumerate biases of authors, and examine biases for or against made by the author. What comes to your mind when you hear the word bias? How can you say that someone or something is biased? I'm sure you want to learn more about it. Are you ready, grade 8 learners? Very good! In this lesson, you will learn that there is more to reading than just knowing what individual words mean. You must be able to read between the lines to get the full meaning of the text. That means understanding and identifying some techniques used by the author. One of the keys to understanding a text is identifying author's bias. Let's have this activity. I will let you choose between two objects, animals and persons. Point to the object which you like better. Are you ready? Great! Let's begin. Which do you prefer? Cake or pizza? Milk tea or ice cream? Movies or music? Cats or dogs? Lee Min-ho or Kim Soo-yoon? Were you able to make your choices? Sometimes our preferences may lead us to being biased. Are you familiar with the word bias? B-I-A-S. Bias. What does the word mean? Bias means partiality for or prejudice against someone, something, or some idea. In Filipino, the term bias is translated as pagkiling or pagkampi. In Bisaya, it is translated as pagpihig. Let's analyze this paragraph. Listen carefully for the author's choice of words. Cats and dogs are both good pets. Dogs are affectionate, but they are extremely difficult to care for. Cats, on the other hand, are also very lovable and cuddly. They require only moderate care that isn't too time-consuming. Based on the writer's choice of words, which do the author prefer? Cats or dogs? Cats! You are correct. You have just identified a bias. How about you? Do you also prefer cats over dogs just like the author? That's great. Remember, we all have biases that reflect our opinions and our particular outlooks about life. It is perfectly normal and part of being human. Almost every piece of writing shows a little bit of bias. A reader's job is to recognize biases and think critically about them to determine how much they affect a writer's presentation of his or her ideas. What is bias in writing? It is a prejudice against something or a favoritism of what an author is writing about. Here are the 5 steps in recognizing bias from a text. Number 1. Look for loaded words and phrases. Words that are charged with emotion, whether positive or negative, can reveal an author's opinion about his or her topic. For example, reading for pleasure is a waste of time. People who spend hours on reading don't get to live in the real world. they don't really learn anything that is useful about dealing with everyday people and problems. Plus, teachers always make us read texts that are boring. Which words and phrases are charged with emotions? The word boring, the phrases a waste of time and don't really learn anything, these imply the author's bias. Let's go back to the paragraph. What is the topic? Correct. It is about reading for pleasure. What is the author's bias on the topic? Is it for or against? Correct. The author is against reading for pleasure. Number 2. Watch out for stereotypes. A stereotype is an overgeneralized belief about a particular category of people. If the author labels an entire group, the writing is most probably biased. For example, women are better than men in so many ways. Whether at home or at work, women always excel. In fact, there is almost nothing that women cannot do better than men. On what stereotype does the author show bias? The author shows stereotype on women as better than men. Let's take a closer look to the text. What was it all about? Excellent! It is about women. What is the author's bias on women? Is it for or against? You are correct. The author's bias is for women. Number 3. Notice unclear language or generalization. If the author isn't using specific language, this could be an indicator of bias. For example, online learning is the best mode of education in the new normal. Learners who have gadgets with internet access learn better than learners who only use modules. The internet is expensive, though. Which does the author prefer? Online learning or modular learning? Online learning. Did the author show an unclear generalization? Yes, you are correct. The author failed in organizing his or her ideas well, resulting to giving an unclear generalization about the topic. Let's check out the paragraph once again. What is it all about? Very good. It is about online learning. Identify the author's bias. Is it for or against? Great job! The author is for online learning. Number 4. Be on the lookout for one-sided arguments. If the author only presents one side of an argument or issue, his or her writing is probably biased. For example, Many Filipinos disagree with DepEd Secretary Leonor M. Briones on the opening of classes on October 5 this year. They claim that the lives of everyone will be placed at risk once classes resume. Because of the threat of the COVID-19 virus, many people are protesting to further postpone the opening of classes. Does the author present a one-sided argument? If your answer is yes, you are correct. The author's argument on the issue is one-sided and failed to explain the DepEd Secretary's side regarding the opening of classes. One more time, learners, let's check out the text. What is it all about? Correct. It is about the opening of classes on October 5. What is the author's bias? Is it for or against? Incredible job! The author is against the opening of classes on October 5. Lastly, number 5. Does the author present facts or opinions? Facts are what they are, the truth. However, opinions are subjective and can be based on feelings, emotions, or prejudices. For example, most parents tell their children that engaging in romantic relationships can ruin their studies. As for me, based on my experience, being in a relationship provides inspiration to graduate. The feelings of excitement, love, and motivation make me believe that it is okay to begin relationships while studying. What does the author use on his or her text? Fact or opinion? It is an opinion. The author shows bias according to his or her opinions and feelings. He or she used the expressions, "as for me," "based on my experience," and "make me believe," as well as the phrase, "the feelings of excitement, love, and motivation," to persuade the audience to believe his or her argument. Going back to the text, what is it all about? Yes, it is about engaging in romantic relationships. What is the author's bias on the topic? Is it for or against? OMG, you are so smart! The author is for romantic relationships. How about you? Do you agree with the author that it's okay to have boyfriends and girlfriends while studying? Learners, always remember that there is a perfect time for everything. It is more important to listen to your parents. Prioritize your studies before having romantic relationships. Let's have a wrap-up for today's lesson. Today, you learned that all of us have biases that reflect our opinions about life. Nearly every piece of writing shows some sort of bias. A reader's job is to recognize biases and think critically about them to determine how much they affect a writer's presentation of his or her text. We also learned that there are 5 steps in recognizing bias in texts. Let's recall together. Number 1. Look for loaded words that are charged with positive or negative emotions. Number 2. Watch out for stereotypes. If the author labels an entire group, the writing is probably biased. Number 3. Notice vague language or generalizations. If the author isn't using specific language, this could be an indicator of bias. Number 4. Be on the lookout for one-sided arguments. If the author only presents one side of the argument, his or her writing is probably biased. Number 5. Does the author present facts or opinions? If the author presents mainly on his opinion, the text is biased. With the power of our critical thinking skills, it would be easier for readers to examine a text for the author's bias. Let's see how much you have learned from this lesson. Let's play the game Bias Detectives. What is bias? Correct. Bias means partiality or prejudice. Which word is a synonym of the word bias? Great job! The term favoritism is synonymous or has a similar meaning with the word bias. Let us now test your critical thinking skills in identifying the author's bias in texts. Analyze the following paragraphs if the author shows bias or not. Number 1. In this time of pandemic, everyone is encouraged to boost the immune system by eating healthy. I believe that becoming a vegetarian is the healthiest way to keep myself protected against COVID-19. Is it biased or not biased? The correct answer is biased. Can you point out the part of the text that shows bias? Well done! The last sentence gave us the hint that the author shows bias in writing. The author expresses his or her opinion on becoming a vegetarian. What is the author's bias on vegetarianism? Is it for or against? Very good! The author's bias is for vegetarianism. Number 2. Many people say that fluency of speaking English does not determine intelligence. In schools, students who are good in English are not as good in math. However, those who can speak in English are often tagged as smarter than those who are good in math. Is the text biased or not biased? The correct answer is biased. What makes the text biased? Do you have difficulty getting the main idea of the text? Very good. The author used unclear language and a vague generalization. Thus, it is biased. What is the author's bias on fluency of speaking English? Is it for or against? The correct answer is uncertain. Because the author used an unclear generalization, it is not clear what is his or her stand on the issue. Number 3. Filipinos top the rank of social media users in Asia. It has become an important part of our everyday lives. According to BusinessInquirer.net on 2019, a Filipino spends an average of 4 hours and 12 minutes per day on social media sites for communication, information, and entertainment. Is it biased or not biased? The correct answer is not biased. Did you get the correct answer? Very good. The author used facts and a reliable source of information to support his or her claim that social media is an important part of the daily lives of Filipinos. What is the author's bias on Filipinos as the top rank in social media usage? Is it for or against? Wow, you are so smart! The author's bias is for Filipinos as the top rank in social media usage. You did an incredible job today, grade 8 learners! You have learned what bias is and identified biases made by the author through the power of your critical thinking. Read any article from a newspaper or magazine and see if the author shows some biases. Cut out the article and paste it on your English notebook. Then, identify biases shown by the author by underlining the parts of the text that show biases. And that concludes our lesson for today. See you again next time in another learning episode. Learning English is as easy as ABC. Together we win, Dep and Norman.